Hey guys, welcome back to the Garage of Curiosities. It's been a while since, probably not too long, but since I posted a video. However, this is going to be kind of a series. We've got a few things going on here on the old $500 truck that barely fits in the garage. It'll probably be spread out over the course of multiple videos, mainly because for some of the more mechanical stuff, I need to, or ideally I'd like to have my lift, but this is what we got on the docket over the next few videos. We got remote start, which we're going to do today. Then we've got a dash cam backup camera right here with some of this stuff to go with it. Don't worry about this. That's for a different project, different video. Then we've got over here, I can not dox myself, front brakes and pads, front wheel bearings. Yes, Cosmo approves. Ripley, I don't know about her. So I'm throwing some codes for the wheel bearings. They're both the fronts are noisy anyway, so we're getting new ones of those. Last year when I had the brakes apart, the front brakes were spanked, and at the time I didn't have the energy or the capacity to do the front brakes, and also that tire needs to go get fixed again. So we're gonna do some of that. The truck has handled great over the winter, so aside from our speed holes, it's a pretty good truck. She's actually not that rusty underneath. So I decided I'm gonna pimp it out a little bit. It's an 04 Chevy Silverado with the 5.3 in it. And when I bought it, it needed tires and brake lines were blown. So Dorman brake line, pre-bent kit, and the cheapest road tires money could buy is what got me this far. My wife bought a head unit to put in it so then we can have Bluetooth. We've got the 2500 side mirrors on it, and we're now going to pimp it out a little bit more. So things have been pretty reliable. It's got a check engine light on it, which we'll probably fix together in the spring or the early summer. Charcoal canisters plug, which makes filling it up a huge pain in the butt. And I can't remember what the other code was. There's a code for something, but who cares? So really, hopefully the remote start works with the check engine light on. I guess OEMs likely won't, but this is aftermarket, so who cares? We got a little bit of rust here. Rockers are gone. Underbody looks decent. Rims are super corroded, which is why that one's slowly leaking. So should be good though. This kit is a plug and play kit. It was like $270 before a coupon. Thanks, Daddy Bezos. So the comical part to me is how much more money I'm putting into a $500 truck. The tires were like $580. Brake lines were something like $100, plus probably $100 in brake fluid, it felt like. Head unit was maybe $100. The remote start and the backup camera were another $500. The brakes right there were $130. And the wheel bearings were another $130. So, but I mean, it's pretty reliable. I've been driving it all winter. Decent length road trips. Fuck are you doing? Hey, stop that. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. So, I'm not really big into cars, even though I do all my own work, but it is kind of fun to just have something that I like. If it breaks down tomorrow, I could not care less. So you'll see the fancier toys in the spring. They're all in storage right now. So let's get started. We are going to, I guess, really probably start unboxing this. I already looked at the instructions. To do this, we have to take off the side panel of the dash on the driver's side, and then the under panel of the driver's side as well, and then pretty much all your wiring's there. Again, this video is going to kind of be a multi-part, and so we're probably going to leave it a little bit of spaghetti wiring, only because I want to wire that up before I tuck everything away. However, that might not need to go through the like driver's side wheel well area. So I don't know, maybe we'll mount all this up, but we'll make it look nice though. We'll make sure the $500 truck looks nice. So this is going to kind of be like another kind of short clip video. There's no good room to mount the tripod other than you're just like staring at probably the back of my head. But I'll explain the process as we go. So next we're going to unbox this. I'll show you all the components, how it all essentially hooks up. And then after that, we'll start tearing into the dash, or I guess more of the wheel well, and then we'll kind of see where that takes us. So arguably this is all plug and play, so it shouldn't be that complicated anyway. And you know, the plastic parts under the dash and the wheel well, I mean, it's like, you know, 3 or 4 bolts, and you know, they just all comes out. So it's not really that complicated, but I'll show you anyway, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so I've unboxed it, and I'll go over a few of the components here before we'll eventually cut to where I probably have a bit of the dash part. But in case you've never done a remote start before, or maybe aren't too familiar with the system, so this is a aftermarket. There are many like it, but this one is mine, and this one comes pre-wired. So essentially all this plugs into various different parts of the body harness, and you know, it's cut to length. If you buy a more complicated one, or I don't know, there was actually some that were a bit cheaper but weren't either all-in-one kits, or you know, didn't have like actual decent instructions. I mean, these instructions are pretty much to my vehicle. So, you know, if you're good with wiring and good with the electronics, you can probably get a deal. You could probably buy an used kit. They're, for the most part, universal, assuming you're not buying kind of an all-in-one like this. The components are fairly straightforward. You have your fobs, right? So we've got our fobs. You have the antenna, right, for your range. You have your prevent theft module right here, Crime Stopper. This one also does a few other features that I'll get into a second. And then you likely have, I believe this is your security bypass. So most modern cars, probably about 2000, or I believe like ODB2 or above, will require a module like this. There are probably ways to trick it, but this module in general, if you're kind of piecing things together, could easily be like 40 to 60 bucks. So, and what that does is this prevents, or I should say, this allows the car to start without the key, because your key has a chip in it that, you know, or some other fancy security feature that will not allow the car to start unless the key is actually in it. So this basically bypasses it, and then that essentially prevents the car from still then being stolen when there's no key in it. So this one also includes a few other things. I'm not sure if we'll install them all today. Some indicator diagnostic light right here. That is apparently all that it does, just to kind of tell you if the system's working or not. We got some extra wiring here for like the antenna needs a wire, and some of these other ones need wiring. And then this actually comes with and I will put this in again probably when it gets warmer. This is a hood sensor, so you can't start the car with the hood open. Not really probably a big deal for me, but I mean, it is a nice safety feature. So, but you got to mount it somewhere where the hood will push down on this and then spring back up. I don't feel like in this tight garage running wiring to the hood. It is optional. So here's another indicator light. I don't know, there's 2 of them. One of them was like just a little light that tells you if it's working or not. I don't remember what the other one was, but all optional apparently. Let's see, and this one's got one too. So it's kind of the main components of your remote start. There might be some extra features if yours has maybe like GPS or cell phone, or you know, like an app you can use. There might be some extra modules here. The trickiest part with remote starting is basically where you're going to hide all the wires, and then where you're going to like mount this stuff. Like I am going to like physically mount mine. I'm not just going to zip tie it. So I want it to look nice, and you know, then it just takes some extra effort than just spaghetti wiring under the dash and just throwing it all up in there. So you want it to look good. If you're going to go through all the work to DIY it, a few extra screws and even like a few extra zip ties to just really tidy up the wiring makes a big difference. And you'll feel better about it when you either have to go back because you did something wrong, or if you ever choose to remove it, or if you go under there for something else like a dash cam. So you'll feel better about it. It takes a little bit of extra time. Sometimes I will say I'm impatient. I don't necessarily have the time available, but I do try and come back and make it look nice. Not all the time, but most of the time. So we'll probably get started. And like I said, it's going to be some tight quarters. So I'm probably going to pull all the panels off, and I'll show you where all the screws are, and I'll probably show you where it's all going to mount for this kit. I'm assuming other all-in-one kits will plug into the same stuff. I mean, it's the same wiring. You need to tap into the ignition module, accessory power, and tap into the security to intercept the the bus signal. So it's probably going to be similar for, I would assume, probably, what would you say, Ripley? Hey, Ripley, what would you say? It's probably the same for what, 03s to, gross, 03s to 07s? I don't know. How about you, Gus? 03s to 07s? Yeah, I think we're all in agreement. 03s to 07s, maybe 08s, but the dogs can't count. They're not great at cars. So I'll bring you back then, and we'll see how long this will take. Reviews say it takes like, I don't know, an hour and a half. So kind of look forward to getting this wrapped up and seeing if it works. So I will catch you in a bit. All right, guys, we're back. So I've got the dash apart. And so let me go over a few things with you before we get a little too crazy. I started assembling this and I was like, oh wait, I got to bring my friends along. So let's go over. So this panel right here, fuse block, just pull from the bottom. So that will be the bottom. It will go on like this. And you just pull from the bottom, pops right out. This under dash panel, I won't grab it. It's on the other side. But this under dash panel down here, 2 bolts, size 8. Very easy. Finally, this has to come out. Now, this is a little tricky. So you have to take this lever out first, your tilt lever. Now, this is pressed in. And you want to be careful because it's all plastic. I used a screwdriver and kind of pried on it and popped it out. It is truly pressed in. It's really tough. I mean, it's kind of meant to be, but you don't want to break it. But that goes in, right here, and you can kind of see, how it goes in, and it's just a press fit there. Finally, then once that's off, you have this cover. Now, mine did not have 2 bolts on it. There are a couple of bolt holes, one there and one right there. You can kind of see where there's like a bit of a lip for the bolt to grab onto. Mine was missing, which then tells me that someone's been here before. I'm assuming they're probably 8 mil, but before you start yanking, just make sure you pop those out or at least check. So now we're on to this. So get that out of the way. Also, real quick too, I do have a couple of body pullers. They're real cheap ones, but they've come in handy quite a bit. I think I got them at like Harbor Freight, but with some of this kind of like, I don't know what kind of plastic it is. I'm not a plasticologist, but I don't want to say brittle, but it's, if you put too much pressure on it, you'll just break it, and then you're going to be angry. So that being said, though, so I'm starting to work on putting this together. This will actually replace your ODB2 port. So I've actually already taken mine off, and I was going to just kind of tuck it up in here somewhere. And I'm trying to figure out where the harness is that I need to tap into for the ignition, which I believe is this plug. So, and then after that, whenever I do wiring, I kind of like to dry run it first, just so I know where everything's going to plug into, the distance you have between stuff, like, for example, wherever this module is going to mount, this one can't be that far away. And then also just where all your extra length is going to be. So if you do need to somehow shorten it up, you're not thinking, oh, I'll just make it short here when it's already kind of tight, or oh, I have so much length here, or oh, I got to shorten this, and then I also have to shorten this. So I always like to kind of dry fit it, just to really get an idea as to where it all goes. So right now I'm just kind of understanding where all this is going to plug in. And then after that, what I'll probably do, and again, this is kind of a multi-part process, I'm probably gonna also run the antenna wire for now up to here. Just because then, because I don't think the dash cam that will replace the mirror, I don't think it has to route down here. It might, because I guess I do need a fuse, but I want to kind of get the antenna kind of up and out of the way. So I'll probably stick the antenna here if I'm able to. If not, I'll tuck it under here for now, knowing that I'm going to move it later. But besides the point, we're starting to get this thing together. It's pretty easy, pretty straightforward. You're not hacking into any wires. So I'm going to keep working on this, and I'll probably bring you back once I'm kind of fitting this in here and give you an overview as to where I'm thinking all the modules and stuff are going to sit. So I'll see you in a bit. All right, bring you back again here. We've made some progress. So I've got this wired up. So this is how this works. Maybe better if I have the flashlight on. Okay, so this is how this works. So the new module plugs into here. And then the other connector actually plugs into the old ignition wiring plug right here. Now, these pins were these clips here were kind of brittle, especially on the old one. So what I'm going to do, because I'm assuming if this comes out, the truck won't start, I'm going to zip tie these together. So I need to go get some zip ties. They're out in the shed. Everything's out in the fucking shed. My test tape's out in the shed. My zip ties are out in the shed. Whatever. We've got this all set up. So the way that I did this, I fished it through here to make it look neater. So there's a small gap. Let me see if I can't focus that light. So you can kind of see where that wiring is right there. That is where I was able to fish the harness out of. Now, again, if you were kind of getting a harness where you got to cut wiring, you can probably do most of it, down there. But this one, since it's kind of a plug and play, you kind of got to work with it. So I did kind of route it around where the old harness went. So right here is where it goes, and I'm going to zip tie this back to, I guess, its natural position. I've got the ODB2 port connected, and then it actually also connects to the old one. So it's right there. I'm probably going to just leave that one tucked in. I don't think that's going to be a big deal. Then I've got the antenna mounted. So I decided to just kind of do it all and get it all done. So the antenna's mounted up here, and then I've got it wired down this way, and I just used some electrical tape to hold it together so I can get this cover back on and make it look neat. Again, zip ties are out in the shed. So I want to try and get this back on, and then I'm going to wrap up the bottom and figure out where I want all this mounted. And then I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you the conundrum here. So one of these is an indicator light, which is I think this one, just to kind of tell you it's working. This is a valet switch. So they recommend putting it here. The problem is, and it takes a 1/4 inch hole, the problem is with these like threads, this is actually a thicker piece of plastic. So I don't know if this will actually be long enough to get through this. Because you can kind of see here, it has that nut on the top that you're supposed to basically, that'll be what you thread down to tighten it up. So I think what I'm going to do, I don't know, I hate making permanent choices for convenience, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put those right here. This panel is way thinner, and I should be able to put a hole through it and get that screwed in. It's not necessarily required, so maybe I'll just somehow finagle the valet switch down here somewhere. I don't really care about the indicator light because I'll just know if it's not working because it doesn't start. So, but I'll kind of figure that one out in a little bit, and that might even just be when I'm doing the backup camera and stuff. I might just then finally commit to what I want to do. I don't really care. I'm not really worried about valet. I can't remember last time I ever had valet parking, if really ever. So it's a $500 truck. I don't think I'm going to pay for valet. So, but we're near wrapping up, and then it's pretty much just you have to do some finagling with the key to program the module, and then you should be all set. So I think when we're back together, most of this will be ready to go. Might be a little messy, but then we should be almost ready to program and test. So I'll see you in a bit. All right, guys. Hey, welcome back. It's actually the next day, but it does work. It's all installed now. If let me show you at least the lock and unlock function since the door is closed. We're not going to smoke ourselves out, but let's see. Our normal key, right? We don't want to lock ourselves in, but we've got unlock. There we go. Lock. Perfect. Unlock again. So wonderful. So let me go over a few things. We ran into a few quirks, and it was getting late yesterday. So wanted to bring you back though and share. So a couple of things. First off, let's talk about the finishing work. There are two harnesses that end up going on here because you have one from the new T harness that comes up and plugs into under the steering wheel, and then you have a harness or like a plug off of that harness that then plugs into the old plug. There's not enough room under here to fit it all. So what I actually had to do was cut the body harness of the vehicle so I could run that harness all, like it's pretty much like down here now. Not a big deal. I tried to make it work. I spent probably too much time on it, but it's an 04, it's 20 years old. Wiring gets a little weird when you start messing with it. So that was frustrating, but it is done. Two, wiring harness. I think it's gotta be the T-body that came with the kit is a little wonky. So I've got it, again, it's like down here. I've got it zip tied together, but when I wiggled it a bit, it would actually basically make it so the car couldn't start at all, even with the key. I don't know what I want to do yet. I don't have a replacement harness. I don't feel like troubleshooting it right now. My thought is if I'm going to keep this remote start kit, I could just hardwire the lines and that'll take care of the problem right away. Thankfully, I mean, it's down here, so it's really up this panel, and then I did take off this like metal shield that goes around the steering wheel, like at the base of it. It's just 4 nuts, so it's very easy to do. But I'm not really sure what I'm going to do yet. So I'm going to see how it works. My concern is if I hit a bump, it's going to jostle that wiring harness, but I do have it secured pretty well. So if it doesn't turn into an issue, then hey, temporary fixes are the best permanent ones. So overall, though, pretty happy with the install. If it wasn't for those couple of quirks, it would have been fine. The only other thing that I ran into, I did open up a ticket with the vendor. They got back to me within probably like 12 hours. I heard back this morning, and I opened up the ticket with them, I think, like late last night. So I was having an issue. I was getting no response from the unit at all. The remotes were supposed to be pre-programmed, and I was looking at the program instructions, and it seemed a little weird. So first thing they're like, we should try just reprogramming. Here's the instructions. And so I did it, and then it started working. So both remotes work. That's all it took. I was a little concerned because I didn't realize it at first. When I bought this, no returns. So for some reason, Amazon, it's flagged as I don't know, chemicals, or you can't ship these things, whatever. So there's basically no returns unless you really complain to the company about it. But the support was pretty quick on it, so that's good. So I'm just kind of wrapping up. I got a mess to clean up here. My tools over there I need to put away. I'm going to leave some of this undone because this weekend probably, it's Friday right now, so probably tomorrow I'm going to do the rear view. I've got some things going tonight where I'm going to hopefully take the truck. But overall, pretty good. I think if it wasn't for the little bit of troubleshooting I had to do, you could probably get this done in under 2 hours. So if you have any questions, you can leave some comments below, and I can help you out. I'm assuming the install is about the same for the, like I said, 03 to 07s or whatever Chevys. It's probably similar for other GMs as well, but very straightforward. I thought the price was competitive, and you know, I haven't tested the range. I'm probably not going to go 3,000 feet away. The remotes do have feedback. Now, the feedback is just that it sent the start command and the box received it. It's not if your vehicle is actually running. So Because when I was trying to figure out that wiring harness, it was telling me the car was running, and I was thinking, no, it's not. But if that doesn't bother you, I mean, the old school days, you just push a button and hope it started. So, but if that doesn't bother you, then great, no problem. So, I'm sure the app or something might have a bit more of a feedback to it, but supposedly it's supposed to tell you the vehicle's running based off of if the battery's charging, and I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm misreading the remote correctly. It was flashing red at me too, but then also there's a timer counting down because this system does have a 20-minute shut off. So if you start it and you don't do anything, it'll turn off in 20 minutes. So, but like I said, overall, I'm pretty happy with it. So smash that subscribe button, smash that like button. We're going to pimp out this $500 truck some more with a $180 backup camera dash cam. So, I'm going to try and get this one published first, even though I'm going to do this work tomorrow, and then we'll kind of take you along there. I'm thinking we'll route the wires up through the headliner. We might do the dash cam on a different, or the backup camera on a different day, only because I don't know if I have enough wiring to get from there up, and then I'll probably come down this way because it's already open, and then around to the back, and I think it'll just be easier to do it on the lift instead of laying on the floor that is kind of wet. So stay tuned, and there will be more coming down the pipe. So catch y'all later.